Going straight to the point, we start the video with Retrieval, a cinematic horror and action-adventure game. The plot follows the experiences of Hana Loche, commander of a research team on a planet 18.6 billion miles from Earth. Hana Loche accidentally falls into a secret location where she will discover all the horrors the base hides. With that in mind, there are chances the game will be similar to the recently released Fort Solis. So far, the only confirmed platform is PlayStation 5, and the game might receive a version for the PS5 Pro. Developed by 333 Studio, Retrieval appears to be the small team's first project, and we'll have to wait and see how it unfolds, as it won't arrive anytime soon. But so far, what has been presented seems like a very interesting project to follow from the beginning.
Paul Atreides was never born.
Dune: Awakening is a survival and MMO game set in the Dune universe created by Frank Herbert. The game is being developed by Funcom, known for other titles like Conan Exiles. Dune promises to offer an immersive experience in the desert of Arrakis, where players can build shelters and bases, as well as explore the environment using vehicles. The game stands out by allowing hundreds of players to interact simultaneously in a shared world. Players will face challenges like sandstorms and the feared sandworms while searching for valuable resources in an arid environment. Dune: Awakening is generating great anticipation among fans of the franchise and survival games. With its release scheduled for 2025, the game might have a version for the PS5 Pro using all its new features.
A war of assassins spreading across the planet. Fremen.
John Carpenter's Toxic Commando is a brand new game marking director John Carpenter's first involvement in video games. He is famous for directing films like Halloween, Escape from New York, and The Thing, among many other successful suspense, horror, action, and police genres. According to the developer, the title mixes several elements from 1980s action and horror movies and will feature intense combat moments against hordes of creatures. This will be done by squads in vehicles or on foot, with a huge arsenal of firearms, grenades, special abilities, and even objects like katana swords available. The story takes place in the near future, with humanity collapsing after attempting to use the Earth's core as an energy source. As a result, an ancient god is awakened and begins destroying the planet, only to be stopped by a highly unqualified group of mercenaries, the so-called Toxic Commandos, who give the game its name. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2 is the sequel to the popular game that brings the experience of living in the Middle Ages. Once again created by Warhorse Studios, the new game will have players participating in a civil war in the middle of 15th century Bohemia. While the new title will continue Henry's story, it also promises to be a good entry point for those unfamiliar with the franchise. The game will have a map twice as large as its predecessor. With some freedom, the protagonist can visit locations ranging from the well-known place called Bohemian Paradise, which actually exists in the Czech Republic, to the majestic and imposing Trotsky Castle, among other locations. Despite retaining many of the elements that made the first game famous, Warhorse Studios promises several improvements in critical areas. The studio claims to have revamped the series' combat system, ensuring it is faithful to medieval martial arts and fun to use. Perhaps with a new DualSense, the PS5 Pro can introduce unique gameplay mechanics in this type of game. If you're a fan of first-person shooters and also enjoy zombie experiences, it's worth keeping an eye on the promising Projekt Z Beyond Order. With first-person gameplay, the title focuses on equipment customizations and hordes of creatures for players to take down. It is worth noting that the game will also feature a good series of playable characters, all with unique traits, which should make the gameplay very diverse. Additionally, it will be possible to customize shelters and weapons, aiming to have more resources to face threats. The developers confirmed that the characters will have unique story arcs, meaning we'll have the chance to undertake missions that will determine the future of each fighter. We can expect a future release for the PS5 Pro with graphical improvements. Nobody's Left is a new and promising Iranian survival game developed by a single person, which has been gaining attention online in recent months. The developer Mad Rain Studio does not deny inspiration from The Last of Us. However, director Mo Kakzad not only mentions Naughty Dog's game as inspiration, but also The Division, Red Dead Redemption, and Inside. The game will be set in a war-torn country contaminated with chemical elements, making much of its land uninhabitable. This chaos has spread, and factions have formed. In the story, players will take on the role of a bounty hunter, who ends up caught in the middle of the war between two major existing factions. Now he will have to do everything to survive.
So, I'm trying to give it more of that.
Even when you feel low, you can still go.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle will be the next game in the franchise. Developed by Machine Games and Lucasfilm Games, and published by Bethesda Softworks, the game features an original story never explored in the movies starring Harrison Ford and will be part of the timeline shown in theaters. The new Xbox Game Studios game promises to take Indy on an adventure full of mysteries scattered across various locations around the world, such as the Vatican, the Himalayas, and the deserts of Egypt, in a first-person action gameplay with exploration, puzzles, and much more. The plot of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle unfolds between the films Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Unsurprisingly, the game's events seem to revolve around World War II and the rise of fascism in Europe. As indicated by the gameplay trailer, Indiana Jones will be guided on an important journey towards Rome and the Vatican. Microsoft has already confirmed that the game will be released for the PS5 in 2025, so we can expect an update for the PS5 Pro.
Man, I still go, 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 go.
Blight Survival is a new independent action, survival, and horror game with roguelite elements from a small developer called Pioner Studio, consisting of 2 developers. The game takes place in a land ravaged by a plague called Blight, which turns people into murderous creatures. In addition to the familiarity with the theme, the game offers gameplay similar to The Last of Us, but set in the medieval era and without firearms. The world of Blight Survival presents an alternative version of the 14th century, amid a no-man's land situated between 2 warring states. The remnants of soldiers left behind seem to have accelerated the development of a new plague or curse, Blight, which causes the dead to rise and attack the living, similar to the clickers from The Last of Us. With the new power of the PS5 Pro, we can expect an experience as good or better than The Last of Us Part 2. Pioner is an MMO shooter in the style of Metro and Stalker with lots of action and exploration. Overall, we can say that the game will have a unique touch, as it will mix elements from various genres and should position itself as a good option for those who enjoy MMORPGs, survival experiences, and the famous extraction games. In Pioner, you play as a former agent surviving in a world after a technological disaster. An isolated Soviet island from the mainland due to a large-scale technogenic anomaly. Now you have 2 main objectives. Find and rescue your comrades and investigate the mystical Mogilnik station. The further you advance on the island, the more dangerous the environment will become. The game's archipelago is undergoing a transformation. With Sony's new hardware, we can expect better textures and a more stable frame rate, which is ideal for this style of game.
Aren't you Maria?
The Silent Hill 2 remake is undoubtedly awaited by fans of the work for a long time. Fortunately, or not, Konami listened to the fans' prayers and decided to embark on this endeavor with the Bloober team, the studio behind The Medium, which will bring new life to James Sunderland's sad journey on the PS5 and PC. The Silent Hill 2 remake is being developed based on Unreal Engine 5 and will feature 2 new functionalities, Lumen and Nanite, which can take the graphics to new levels, highly detailed and realistic, while enhancing the game's nervous atmosphere. Additionally, the game will take advantage of all the features of the future PS5 Pro, so expect even better 3D audio, DualSense support, and of course, extremely fast loading times due to the SSD.
See? I'm real.
ArcheAge 2 is the highly anticipated sequel to the popular MMORPG ArcheAge, developed by XL Games and published by Kakao Games. The game has been officially announced and promises to bring a next-gen experience to the PS5 Pro. The game is being developed on Unreal Engine 5, promising impressive graphics and smoother gameplay. The development team consists of more than 50 people who are working to create a rich and dynamic world. Players can expect grand boss fights, a lively world full of activities, and a more developed trade and housing system. The game will maintain the sandbox essence of the original, allowing players to claim territory, wage wars, and influence the game's economy. The narrative will not be a direct continuation of the original story, but rather a new approach that will allow players to explore the story more freely and interactively. The game will also introduce new races and social elements that were not present in the first title. Now, tell me in the comments your expectations for the PS5 Pro.